alignments, realignments, and developments that we seek here on Checkpoint and generally on KTN News to give you perspective of what all of this means going forward. And I have with me the leader of majority in the National Assembly, Amos Kimunya. And so before we took that short break moments ago, we're talking about whether you truly still can be called today leader of majority, because a few months back that would have rung true. Today, with all the defections, the Honorable Deputy President William Ruto, His Excellency, is constantly every other day receiving defectors from Jubilee. So if it were to come down to ODM is here, UDA is here, and Jubilee is here, who would really be the leader of majority today?
UDA has only one member in Parliament.
I'm talking about the people who are now associating themselves.
We go first of all with the official record of Parliament.
And officially you are the leader of majority.
No, yes.
Now the people today associating with the UDA
the people
politics,
who have defected,
yes,
have only defected in the political stadiums. None of them has been daring enough to actually resign from Jubilee to go to their party, including the DP himself.
And that's why we are saying on paper.
So we first of all go by, officially.
Yes, indisputable, you are the leader.
The next thing we also go back to, the next item we look at is Jubilee and its coalition. Even within after some people have left, abandoned ship, right? We had 216 members within the Jubilee coalition.
Right.
About 120 have gone. So we have 96, okay, left within the Jubilee coalition, which includes KANU and a few small parties. And those are still intact within the Jubilee coalition.
Right.
The next biggest party is ODM with 68 members. So even after the 120, should they decide to decamp en masse, to resign en masse, Jubilee will still be the majority party in Parliament. Wow. So, and that's why we beat them. They think they are numbers, right? But we pass all those debates because they are only a small portion.
Let's talk about what you mentioned as well earlier, that this NDC over the weekend, it's Friday, Saturday, right, is what you're calling the rebirth of Jubilee. What should we expect?
We would expect, obviously, a feeling of position that have become vacant. We would expect some decisions on what happens to our party leader, our deputy party leader, who has decided to go supporting another party and competing with the Jubilee and talk about bad things about the party. Perhaps
officially eject him? Because that was passed by the management committee of Jubilee.
Yes, and we now have the Political Parties Act that says if you start agitating for or promoting the policies of another party, you actually be deemed to have quit.
Correct.
Okay, an action can be taken against you. So we would expect some pronouncements from all those. We expect some pronouncement on the rebranding of the party. And also the party leader coming back to the party and saying, this is what I've been doing in the last 4 years, or in the last 9 years, and what he expects as the future of the party.
Like who Jubilee is supporting as presidential candidate. I think by now it's all clear.
Including to actually get the official mandate, to get the official mandate from the delegates to get into an alliance with other like-minded political parties.
Like Azimio?
Like Azimio.
Okay.
Or within the Azimio Foundation to be part of it, to join.
And have you been in talks also with Kalonzo Musyoka? We have that story earlier today that they met, Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka. Their fallout was one that was widely covered. Kalonzo saying he'd be stupid to work again with Raila.
Only a fool doesn't change his mind.
Okay.
But the good thing is that, for a long time, President Uhuru has been working so hard on the greater unification of the Kenyan people, and especially the political leadership, because recognizing that this election will be unique, it's a transitional election, and you don't want, high-level, high-octane politics that will divide this country to a point where we go back to where we were, several years ago. So he's been talking to all these leaders, and he managed to talk them through to support BBI, because they could see the future of Kenya in it. So all of us are in constant consultation. I rely heavily on the Wiper members of Parliament, 23 of them, 24 of them, who vote with us. And for that, we are thankful to their leader, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. So we are in constant communication. And Honorable Raila Odinga is also in constant communication. The president is constant communication with all of them. And we believe that, for example, what Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka stands for will be best achieved when he's within the Azimio group, rather than when he joins the other group of, the people with issues.
Yeah. And it is a possibility that going into this election, much as the Mount Kenya region and the numbers there and the influence the region has been really hyped in recent days and a lot of campaigning going on, it is a possibility that we could see a Ruto candidature with a running mate of Musalia Mudavadi and Raila with Kalonzo Musyoka, and Mount Kenya becomes up for grabs, not really as running mate as many have imagined it's going to be automatic.
Yeah. Well, one thing we know within our thinking is obviously we are not talking regions. The running mate will be based on a political party, and that's why we're strengthening Jubilee, so they can take, its rightful share in terms of the negotiation, that we would want the following positions as Jubilee. Now, within Jubilee, whether that candidate comes from Mount Kenya or the coast or wherever it will be a matter for discussion, and it will not matter, because we are not being regional. The fact that, first of all, we have decided as within Jubilee, as Mount Kenya, we are not running. I mean, I could have run. I mean, what qualification do the others have that I don't? Right?
Why aren't you upgrading from the constituency? Because
we thought it will not look good that, having 3 presidents from Mount Kenya in a row, where the rest of the country is waiting.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I can tell you.
Isn't it that this is a house that has been found unprepared?
We've had this discussion with the president, and he told some of us, "Tell your ambitions." It will not look good that we had the first president, the third president, and fourth president.
Why did it occur to him when he was running as the fourth president?
No, but
why after he's finishing his term?
At that point, it was necessary to run so that we could also continue
because
the
of
good
the
work.
ICC.
Not just the ICC, but also continue the good work that had been started by President Kibaki. We needed, first of all, to ensure it continues.
So.
But so in terms of the where are we? In terms of the Mount Kenya not
necessarily taking the running mate slot, as many have widely assumed,
does not necessarily need to take the running mate, so long as the interests of Mount Kenya are secured.
Are taken care of.
Yes.
You mentioned something about the president is keen on national unity. He's definitely talked about that many times. But you have had those from Kenya Kwanza castigate him, say if you're going to visit the region or the country, go around but just say goodbye, your last leg pretty much, but don't talk about who should take over. Now you also have the SEK bishops led by Archbishop Sir Peter as well, saying that, and I quote, the president should remain a focal point of national unity and not talk about endorsing a particular candidate. So when you have even the church weighing in on this matter, saying that the president should desist from getting into the specifics of this person is best suited to run the country after I exit, what do you say to that?
If I would have listened better if it was the same church is the one that is endorsing one candidate, because he's been contributing Harambes to it, right? Yeah? So you cannot be endorsing a candidate and telling somebody else that they should not give direction. The president is a stakeholder in this country. He's a citizen of Kenya. He cares about, the wider public. He's been leading this country for 10 years. President Mandela, yeah, right? When he was, after all the suffering, and he said he was only going to do 1 term. But he was very instrumental in giving direction in terms of what ANC does, right? And that's how he brought, his successor, Thabo Mbeki, right? Immediately people stopped being given direction. You saw what happened when they got the Zumas of this world, right? So it's important, and even in an organization, even in a family, people will always give direction that I'm leaving, but I would want to leave so-and-so in charge. I believe you can trust so-and-so better than this other person.
All right.
He's the depository of all the intelligence in this country. So he knows all of us, right? He knows what Sophia has done. He knows what Kimunya has done today, or he will be told at the end of the...
But this country, is also in terms of who becomes president, is not by the intelligence community that decides. It's the people of Kenya.
It's the people of Kenya.
Ballot.
It's the people of Kenya.
Ballot.
But the people of Kenya will cast their ballot based on the information they have, right? Okay. And that information needs to be communicated to them by people who have that information so that we can have an educated citizenry. There's no point in getting people who have no idea what is happening to tell them go and cast the vote.
All right.
Because they'll just go for, who looks better. Well, people need to cast the vote based on the best information available. Yeah.
I would not want us to wrap this conversation without talking about the election amendment bill, controversial one there. We've seen some debate around that. You are the mover of the same. IEBC is backing it. In case for those of our viewers who may not be aware, one of the proposals there is to have the manual transmission and relaying of results as backup to the electronic and the technological aspect of the election processes maintained. And I think the first question for many people when they saw this was, why now? Because on one hand, the position the IEBC has taken is that owing to the lessons learned from the 2017 presidential election being annulled, then it's important to have backup. But surely, we have had since 2017 to now to change the law, fix whatever issues arising. Why now? You even have people, talking about this is Tarakanithi in the making. No. When you see suspicion, because of the timing, suspicious to some.
No, I think the one thing we must remember is the development of this law. This law has been done over time. If I've been agitating for it and asking IEBC, remember the chairman of IEBC has been going out and saying Parliament is delaying the enactment of the law sometime last year. And we asked him, which law are we talking about? Because he was doing the drafts, and we say, bring those drafts of the things you want changed. And he eventually gave those to me in December, and we published, and we've started the public participation and everything.
Since 2017, sir?
I know, but it's them who needed to, it's the wearer of the shoe who knows it hurts most. They needed to guide us. And with the Law Reform Commission, with all the other people who are tasked with reforming those electoral laws. Remember, IEBC is an independent commission. So we can't go out there and start saying, we want to change this law for you. They generate what needs to be changed. And they've done that. Now, when the bill came out, some people, especially within the media, quickly attacked it without even internalizing what it was. Then IEBC gave some statement that clarified issues, and the debate was calmed down. And I'm aware even there's been a meeting with the Editors Guild, and some clarifications will come out, because I've been following what's happening to my bill. So the origin of what people thought was mischief will probably have, the issues have come down. There are some sections that were nullified by the courts, including this live transmission of results, right? This declaration of results based on partial receipt of results. That even where it's imminent that person will win, because there's only probably 2 polling stations left, and they will not alter the result. The courts have said you cannot announce until you've done everything. Right. So those sections that were annulled must be removed from the law books because they are dead anyway, right? So part of the 4 that people had lots of talk about, that we are now stopping live streaming and all that, those were nullified by the courts. We are only cleaning the books to accord with the courts. Right. Then the other bit on terms of the parallel system, it's already in the law. So we are not introducing something new, but it's in recasting the clause, the section, so that we can basically make it clearer that Form 34A, which is the document that comes from the polling station, and which was declared by the courts, is the primary document that needs to be taken to the National Tallying Center. That's all we are doing within that clause, and kind of removing the ambiguity that is there, that the presiding officer shall submit this form to the constituency and to the National Tallying Center. It's wrapped up in the current formulation. And what we are doing now is removing and saying the presiding officer shall submit an image of that to the constituency office and to the National Tallying Center. Right? So that's already in the law, but it's more clarity rather than introduction of new issues.
But be it as it may, it still goes against the proposal by Kriegler, which, the advisory there.
You cannot have a new commission within a certain period.
But even law, you talked about in terms of just preparation for the election, because legislation and the lawmaking process is all part of it, because it has an impact on the election. So this is still part of that. We're still having laws, even talking about the campaign financing coming late in the day.
No, the campaign financing was unfortunate, and that's why we removed it. And he said you cannot do it now, it's too late. But on this cleaning up, like removing laws that are redundant in the books, whether you remove them or not, it's there. But some of those is just also clarification in terms of now that we have the Political Parties Act that has now put some responsibilities on the Registrar of Political Parties. Now, how do we redefine the roles of IEBC and political parties? So where does the Registrar of Political Parties responsibilities end, and where does IEBC's responsibilities begin? So you don't have that overlapping mandates, right? So part of that is just cleaning up.
Okay.
And that cleaning up could be done even the last day before the election.
All right.
It's just to avoid disputes coming out in future that, oh, this should have been done by the political parties, or this should have been done by the IEBC. Everyone now knows their mandate within the law.
All right. Before we close, final question on the budget, because this budget policy statement risks having the country break the debt ceiling from the 9 trillion, with I think overshooting by 400 billion thereabout is what the Budget and Appropriations Committee is talking about. What is it that's going to happen to ensure we don't get 12 trillion? Because you go past 9 trillion, which of course was passed in 2018, as Parliament you're yet to approve a higher ceiling, but this would just be seen as from taking over Moi Kibaki at 1.8 trillion in debt to now talking exceeding 9 trillion.
Okay, first of all, in terms of the growth from 1.8 to 9, people also need to see, are there matching assets? Okay.
Value for money.
Is there value for money? That will be a different audit, and I'm sure Kenyans will be happy with that, the way the money has been used, barring a few Kimwarels and all that. But the Budget and Appropriations Committee have come up and said, yes, we've looked at this budget, the budget policy statement, which is the overarching statement that helps anchor the budget, the estimates. And I've looked and said, if we approve it as it is, it will lead to estimates based on needs exceeding the debt ceiling.
Yes.
Now, Treasury has also come up and said, no, the fact that you approve it does not mean we will give you estimates that will exceed, because our estimates will make sure they don't exceed the debt ceiling.
Okay.
And there's a legal advisory to that effect that, yes, BPS could be bigger, but the Treasury is bound at the estimate level not to exceed the debt ceiling.
So it's not a backdoor kind of way to force
the arm? It's not a backdoor, because the policy statement is beyond numbers. It also shows what the government wants to do, where the emphasis is, ABCD. So you can approve a bigger one, right? But the estimates must not exceed the limits in the BPS and other laws, right? So the fact that BPS said you could spend up to 12 trillion, right? But then when you come to preparing the estimates, then Parliament will then be looking and say, if we pass these estimates and this debt, right, it passes it goes beyond the debt ceiling. So we will only pass the estimates up to such point, never mind that the BPS allowed you for more. Because the thing we must remember is there'll be a new government.
Okay.
And I think you raised this issue with Kimani about a supplementary budget.
Yes.
The new government will have its priorities. And those priorities could well mean that they need to put more in infrastructure, they need to put more in social capital formation and all that. And they need to have some operating room, because you're not going to do a supplementary budget BPS. Yes. So the BPS should be overarching on the condition that the estimates will not exceed the debt ceiling.
All right.
And I think that's where the debate is, and I'm hoping that the legal interpretation plus Treasury interpretation plus the budget interpretation will be able to align that so that we can pass it as with those provisos.
All right.
That we are doing this is not a backdoor, but when you come to the estimate, we are going to cap the estimates to align with, first of all, not just the debt ceiling, but also the commitments with IMF.
With IMF. All right, sir. Thank you very much for making time for us here on Checkpoint. That is Honorable Amos Kimunya, who is the leader of majority in the National Assembly, discussing a number of issues. He promises the rebirth of the Jubilee Party, and on Sagana 3, he says, wait and see. There will be a confirmation as and when that meeting with the president will take place depending with his schedule. Thank you very much for joining us. On behalf of the entire team here at KTN News that made the show possible, it takes a village, and appreciative of every person who chimed in this evening. And for you for watching, always a pleasure to have your company. We'll see you next time. Have a good night and a blessed week ahead. I'm Sophia Wanuna.